If I had to downsize tomorrow in Montgomery County, Maryland, I already know exactly where I'd go. And in this video, I'm going to cover the 3 types of downsizers that I work with, what to look for, what to avoid, as well as the 3 communities in Montgomery County that will be perfect for you, where you can simplify life without having to sacrifice lifestyle. Whether you're a few years from retirement, an empty nester, or just ready to stop maintaining a big house, this video will give you clarity on your next move. My name is Kevin Grolig. I'm a full-time realtor for over 30 years. I know, call me crazy there, but it's true. During that period of time, I've helped hundreds of families both buy, sell, as well as relocate and downsize with confidence. I've walked clients through this transition step by step. Many of them had larger homes in Potomac, Rockville, Bethesda, only to help them purchase one-level living in areas like maybe King Farm, Kentlands, Crown, Park Potomac, and basically trading in lawnmowers for one-level living. So let's just jump right into it. Here's how this video is going to go. First, I'm going to discuss the 3 types of downsizers I work with and how their needs may differ. 2, we'll cover the 3 non-negotiables that I recommend for every downsizer. 3, I'll walk you through my 3 favorite communities to downsize into right now. And 4, I'll share with you one big mistake that I've seen downsizers make that leads to regret. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly where you want to go and why. So let's dive in. Before you make the right move, first you need to know why you're downsizing. And as I mentioned before, I find that downsizers fall into 3 different types of categories. So let's kind of go through them now, and maybe you can assess which one of them you are. The first is the early planners. You're not retiring yet, but you want to simplify things while the market and your health is in your favor. You want low maintenance living, but you're not ready to give up comfort. 2, the empty nesters. The kids are gone, the big house feels unnecessary. You want less cleaning, less yard work, and maybe even a little walkability. 3rd is the lifestyle shifters. You're starting to travel more, maybe spending winters in Florida. You need something you can lock and leave, but still come home to. Each one of these needs a slightly different approach. However, they do have something in common: less stress and more freedom. Now let's talk about what every downsizer should look for. The first thing you really need to consider is square footage. Now, when I'm out and about and I'm going to homes, evaluating them for home sellers, one of the things that I say a lot is square footage is king, meaning that of all the things that add value to a property, nothing really adds more value to a property than square footage. However, when you're looking to downsize, obviously you've got to have enough space. However, it's not always size is the most important thing. What type of features are you looking for? Are you looking more for open floor plan, higher ceilings? Maybe you would ultimately do better finding something a little bit smaller, but has some of those more open features and open concept that you like, versus something that's more boxed in and more claustrophobic, but yet it's larger in size. So I would start to kind of think a little bit about square footage, how much you definitely need, and how much maybe you don't need as much, but where the floor plan and the way it's laid out actually might help. The second thing to consider is maintenance matters. So you probably wouldn't be watching this video if maintenance and maintaining a larger home and maybe doing less of that in the future is important to you. So you want to take into consideration when you're going out there the age of appliances, the age, if it's a condo, the age of the building and everything. Are they going to need new roofs put on, new HVAC systems and things like that? Also, what type of maintenance is going to take place? Is there an exterior that needs to be taken care of, or is it more of a condo where you've got no exterior maintenance? So you want to kind of get real with that. Like, what are some of the things that are bothering you now? What are some of the reasons why you're even thinking about doing this and watching this video? And I venture to say that a lot of it is you're looking for less maintenance. So you definitely want to take that into consideration when looking for the next place. Now, when it comes to less maintenance, maybe you also want to start aiming towards maybe newer builds. Not necessarily saying new construction, but newer builds where you have basically newer HVAC, newer roofs, things like that. You also want to make sure, and I'm going to especially tell you if you're looking at condos, you want to make sure that you review the condo documents really well to see how the health of the community, how financially healthy it is. Do they have enough in reserves? Or is this the type of community where in the past they've had a lot of special assessments where they didn't have enough money in reserves and they've got to keep bleeding the unit owners for more money, more money, more money. So you want to check into those things to kind of see the history and where you see this might be going. Next, you need to be thinking future proofing. And what I mean by that is you need to be looking for the home you're purchasing today, not necessarily thinking about where you are today, but where will we be 10 to 15 years from now? Will this be a property that we could comfortably live in? You need to be thinking about things like health, mobility, and just simply your bandwidth and energy for taking on things. You probably want to consider properties that have either elevators or condos that have elevators, fewer stairs, maybe an easy entry going into the building. These are all the things we need to consider because let's be honest, none of us are getting any younger. We're all getting older, and unfortunately the trajectory is going like this. And so obviously there's things we can do to remain healthy and active for as long as we can, but ultimately in the end, the trajectory is going lower, but the house and or the condo and the community stays the same. So where will I be 10 to 15 years ago? Definitely something you want to consider. Now let's talk about my top 3 communities in Montgomery County for downsizing in 2025. Now, before I go over this list, none of these communities are over 55 communities, and we do have over 55 communities in Montgomery County, as well as continual care, assisted care, things like that. But this video today is more for people a little bit on the younger side who are just simply looking for more downsizing, maybe not necessarily an over 55, but let's dive into it. My top 3 communities. Number 1, I know, I'm a little bit biased because I live here myself. It's Kentlands and Lakelands. Now, one of the things that I love about Kentlands is that it's so walkable and it's so easy to keep in touch with people. So, very much an urban setting where there's tons of sidewalks, walking paths, lakes, things like that. So it's very easy to stay open and engaged and out there in the community. And you meet your neighbors, you meet friends, especially if you have a dog. Now, I don't have a dog. Probably would be good for my business if I did get a dog because I'd meet a lot more people because there's a lot of people that walk dogs in this community. So great for walking and walking dogs and all that. Some of the other things that I love about living in Kentlands, and we're going to keep it on the same theme of walkability because guess what? All of these places are walkable. There's 2 awesome grocery stores. There's the Whole Foods where sometimes if it's, I'm just going up to pick up something for dinner, I walk right up there, get my seafood, get my ribeye, whatever that might be for dinner that evening. Larger shopping trips, I'm typically going to the Giant. And at the Giant, they also have a pharmacy there. There's also a CVS pharmacy that's relatively new. I think it's been built in the last few years there. Tons of different restaurants to go to. So if you're like me and 1 or 2 times a week, you're sitting there thinking, okay, what should I make for dinner? My wife has been working, I've been working. I look in the refrigerator, there's nothing there and everything's frozen. It's just easy to say, hey, you know what? Let's walk up to Sin and Grin or Vasili's or the Grilled Oyster or Brews and Barrels or tons of different restaurants to go to, which is also, once again, awesome for active adults where it just makes life easy. Additionally, in Kentlands, there's also a large Cinepolis movie theater. Oftentimes we'll go there and check out a movie. They've got the waiter-waitress service there, the chairs that lean back, which are perfect for me. Although the one thing is I usually don't make it through a full movie. When I've got a comfortable chair, I can lay back and they put a blanket on me. Not a good look. But anyways, that's awesome to have. There's also gyms. And besides what's in Kentlands, and there's a lot. Oh yeah, forgot to mention there's a Lowe's Hardware, you got Chipotle, you got a drive-through Starbucks, all those type of things at home. Besides that, there's also a lot around Kentlands. And you've got Crown, which is literally about 5 minutes down the street, where you've got more restaurants, more shopping, Lululemon. And my wife and I, we go to the Lifetime Gym, which is about 7 minutes from Kentlands and right there on Sam Ike Highway. So once again, not in Kentlands, but very close to Kentlands. There's also a great mix of housing from condos to townhouses to single families. Now I will say, it's hard to find one-level living in Kentlands outside of the condos. Now, the condos, the majority of them are going to be on one level. They've got some that are 1 bedrooms all the way up to 3 bedrooms, elevator buildings, things like that. There are some that also have covered parking as well. So there's a good mix of condos that I think really would work well, oftentimes for downsizers. The townhouses are built pretty vertically. So it's, if you're looking for a first floor bedroom, probably the townhouse is not going to be the way you want to go. Also, single families. To my knowledge, I don't believe there are any single families with the first floor bedrooms or primary suites or anything like that. However, I have seen some people that have kind of retrofitted that and done that. So that is possible. But once again, I think the better bet, if you're looking one level living, is going to be in the condos. Beyond all these things, some of the things that I love also is just a lot of the community events, like the Oktoberfest that's every fall. Also Kentlands Under the Lights, which is in June, where you've got all sorts of vendors and food and drinks and bands and things like that, all under the lights. Super cool. So it's definitely a vibrant community. Definitely you're not going to feel sterile there. And oh yeah, I forgot to mention all of the amenities that are here too. You've got a huge pool, actually 2 pools there, pickleball courts under the lights, which oftentimes I will do in the evening time up until 9 o'clock in the evening. There's tennis, there's basketball, all sorts of things like that. So oftentimes they'll have concerts on the grass and everything. Super cool. They get a lot of good talent that comes through there. So once again, you know, one level living, you're probably looking only at condos there, not townhomes, probably not single families, but there's a ton of things to do. So if you're looking at staying active and for a walkable community, I definitely can highly recommend Kentlands. The second is Park Potomac. Park Potomac, you've got large brownstones, but you've also got high-end luxury condos with all the bells and whistles. True lock and leave setup, concierge buildings, underground parking, elevator access, and more. Now, my office is in Park Potomac, and I will tell you that one of the things that I love about that location is its proximity to 270, to Falls Road, Montrose Road, so it's really easy getting in and out of the community. And frankly, I can get to just about anywhere in Montgomery County within about 20 minutes from the Park Potomac location. It's also great, you know, if you want to go into DC or Bethesda. So location is primo, and so that's one reason you want to consider it. It's also very walkable. Now, it's smaller. It's not the same size that Kentlands is, but it's very flat and walkable. There's a lot of good restaurants there, like King Street Oysters. You've got Awesome Deli there. You've got Gringos and Mariachis, Founding Farmers, a lot of legal offices there, and you've got a great Harris Teeter. And once again, I a lot of times go to Harris Teeter for lunch, just walk right there, get a salad, you know, even get some sushi, things like that. So once again, very easy to get around, very close to everything, and you've got really some high-end amenities right there in that Potomac 20854 zip code. Basically, you keep the prestige of the Potomac address without the maintenance of a 5,000 square foot home. Third is downtown Crown in Gaithersburg. And what you're going to find there is you're going to find newer builds, modern floor plans, low maintenance lifestyle. You've got condos and townhomes. You've also got single family homes. And you know, let's talk a little bit about the single family homes. The single family homes are quite large. Some of them do have elevators in there, but the one common thing that they all have is there's no exterior maintenance when it comes to yard work. So the yard work is all covered in the HOA, snow plowing, things like that, cutting the grass, trimming hedges, all those type of things are covered. Now, of course, you are responsible for your windows and your roof and your HVAC and things like that. But the single family homes, what I find is a lot of people that buy in Crown actually come from Potomac. They had that 6,000 square foot home, but it was on 2 or 3 acres. They don't want all the acreage. They don't want to maintain that, but they want that awesome house. They want something that's close to their grandkids in Montgomery County. They want something that's close to transportation and shopping. So you got all of that with Crown, with the single families as well. You know, but a lot of these people with the single families, they don't want to give up, you know, the luxury and all of the amenities. They like that newness. So they're not quite ready to give up size just yet, but they're ready to give up a lot of the work that goes along with maintaining the yard. Next, you've got townhouses in Crown. Now, the townhouses are extremely vertical. Many of them are going to be 4 levels with rooftop balconies and decks and things like that. However, many of them do have elevators. I'm actually going to be putting a property on the market in 2026 that has an elevator in it, which makes things a lot easier getting up and down. You know, my clients, they're in their probably late 50s, probably about my age, in very good shape, but they kind of use it more as a dumbwaiter than anything else. They're still walking up and down steps, but when they're schlepping in groceries, it's like, put it in the elevator, send it up to the second floor. So you do have those type of things. If you need to move something heavy, once again, you can do it that way. So the townhouses can be a good option, especially those with an elevator. And then of course there are condos, one level living, all sorts of condos, and they're actually still even building in there. So there's a lot to choose from when it comes to Crown, single families, townhomes with elevators, as well as many condos. And once again, a little bit like Kentlands. It's not as big as Kentlands, but a little bit like Kentlands. It's newer. It's definitely more of a city vibe. Kentlands definitely has that old Williamsburg, Georgetown vibe to it. But with Crown, you've got Ruth's Chris Steakhouse there. You've got a little microbrewery within the community, Coastal Flats. They're opening up a new restaurant there called 60 Vines, which I think just opened up this last week or so. But they've also got, your dry cleaners. They've got also a Harris Teeter there as well for shopping. They've got pool, tennis. Actually, they even have a rock climbing wall as well there in the inside of the management company there at the HOA. Very close to major commuter routes. So you can get onto 270 literally within 2 to 3 minutes. You can also get on over to Shady Grove Metro. Oh, and there's also a shuttle that will take you Monday through Friday during certain hours over to the Shady Grove Metro. So if commuting's your thing and you're going into DC or Bethesda and you're using the Metro, they've got shuttles right there. So that's really nice and helpful as well. So a lot of amenities there. So these are my top 3 communities that I would suggest. Now, once again, there's other areas. There's other over 55 communities like Leisure World. Also in Clarksburg, they've been building a lot of over 55 communities there. But the thing that I'm not so crazy about is there's not a lot of amenities in most of these. The builders are getting a lot of tax perks so that they can build in Clarksburg over 55 because it's basically easier for Clarksburg. You don't have kids going into the schools. You've got, just less use of public facilities and things like that when you've got an over 55 crowd versus younger families. So there's been a lot of perks to build over 55 communities in Clarksburg. But once again, there's not really one out there that I've seen where you've got a lot of amenities and things like that. There are some that in Frederick County, just up the road a little bit, and I did a video about 2 years ago on a community called the Woodlands. So you might want to check that out. That's over in Urbana. So probably about 20 minutes north of Clarksburg. Actually, not 20 minutes, probably about 10 to 15 minutes north of Clarksburg. So you might want to check that out. Let's talk about the biggest mistake that I see downsizers making, and that's moving too far away from their people. In the hunt for cheaper housing, some folks move 45 minutes, an hour away, thinking that it's not that big of a deal, only to realize they've left behind their friends, doctors, gym, church, and grandkids. And what I find oftentimes is that, if you're 10, 15 minutes away from these things that are important to you, you still keep going there, okay? It becomes easy, especially when it comes to grandkids and friends and things like that. It's easy when you find yourself a little bit of time, you make that call, you shoot that text out and say, hey, what are you doing? You want to get together? You want to do a cookout? You want to go out and meet for dinner? You want to go get a pizza? You want to go get a few beers? That's easy when your people are 10, 15, 20 minutes away or less. When you start making it 45 minutes to an hour, especially in the DMV area where traffic generally always sucks, now all of a sudden you need to kind of plan it more. You start to kind of question it. Well, you know what, I really would like to meet with them, but it's by the time I get down there and then we have to drive back and we're going to be in rush hour traffic, you know what, let's just not do it. So once again, you want to really think that through about moving too far away from your people. What I oftentimes see when people move too far away from their people, they're the people that I call boomerang clients, where they basically go out to one area and then they're coming back because they feel isolated. And this really should be one of the last moves of your lifetime. Now, we're all going out eventually in a pine box, but once again, think about when you're downsizing, is this a place where I can live the next 10 to 15 years of my life or longer? If it does, then this is the type of area that you need to consider. Once again, if you're watching this video, it's probably because downsizing is somewhere on your radar. And what I would tell you is if you're 6 months, 12 months, even as much as 24 months away, it's never too early to start the planning. So you definitely, once again, want to kind of evaluate your life, the things that are important to you. You want to think about, once again, not just your budget. course, your budget's important, but you also want to make sure that this is a move and a property that fits your lifestyle. Now, having done this for 30 years, what I see is most people who are looking to downsize, they wait too long. Okay, I see it all the time, and frankly, I'm even going to tell you that that's exactly what happened with my parents. My parents had a larger home. They waited way too long to move. It was too much for them to handle, too much for them to maintain. My mom had dementia, Alzheimer's, was, in great physical shape, was like a little bit of a wind-up toy where she's just walking around all over the place. No one knew exactly where she was going. My father, on the other hand, had a lot of comorbidities, and while cognitively he was doing well, physically he couldn't keep up with my mom. And so for him, it was like a whole fall hazard. And ultimately, we really needed to move them out quickly. I do think that they made a very good decision. We made a very good decision on where they went. But frankly, they should have done it 10 years earlier so they could have traveled more. They could have, once again, had more of a lock and leave lifestyle. They waited too long to do that, and then we needed to make a very quick decision on where they moved to. And so, once again, if this is on your radar, you're thinking about it, and you just want to talk it through, I'd be happy to discuss your specific situation and how I can help you when it comes to this. And once again, you can set up a call, super easy. I've got the link below. Also, I've got the QR code right here on the screen where you can set up a Calendly appointment with me where we can get on the video conference. Once again, I'm not going to pressure you to sell your house and beat you up and be the 800-pound gorilla. I just want to help you kind of sift through things, help you make good decisions, consider things that maybe you wouldn't have considered. There's definitely more than what we're discussing in this video. And once again, everybody's situation is going to be personal to them. So anyways, hey guys, I appreciate you watching this video. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. Go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Share this video. And once again, if there's anything you need when it comes to real estate, whether that's downsizing, upsizing, whatever that may be, I'd love the opportunity to help you out. The best way to get in touch with me is by text. That's 240-793-7495. Or once again, go ahead and set up that Calendly link. The link is below, and the QR code is on the screen. So you guys have a great day. Peace.